Welcome to Grappling Legacy Lounge. You see my hand doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Grappling Legacy Lounge. Episode 4.
Something like that.
We believe it's 4. I'm pretty sure it's 4.
4 or 3. 4 or 3. Something like that.
I think Brandon was 3.
Brandon was like 2. Or no, Brandon was 3.
No, he was 3 because we did 2 together.
Yep.
All right. So this is our 3rd one together, but it's the 4th episode.
This is the 4th episode.
Cool thing is, before we get into today's topic of Ninja Grappling 3, not to be confused with episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm confusing you.
Yeah.
I do have a list of people to join us for these podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of reaching out to those people and getting them scheduled up and figuring when you're available or I'm available.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably not going to be on a lot of them because your time is money. You know, Mr. Busy. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about Ninja Grappling 3. Ninja Grappling in, where was it at? Can you say it?
Okay. I think I got this. Hamid Civic Center.
Very good. Very good. It's a grappling in a cage, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Not an octagon.
Hexagon.
And it was pretty cool. The rule set is different. It's for kids. It was 2 3-minute rounds, and if the judges felt it needed a 3rd round, they went to 3rd rounds, and they did on a few occasions.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining to watch.
Yes.
Different rule sets from the first period to the second period.
Yeah, because the second period allowed more, especially for the adults.
Yeah, it allowed you to it lets you unlock more submission, different types of submissions like leg locks, anything from the ankle down, which we'll talk about that in a minute too, because there's some funny conversations about that.
Yeah.
During the rules meeting. And then for kids, there was nothing below the waist for attacking, which was cool.
Yeah.
But another cool, what I really liked was the first round, no guard pulling. It was all takedowns. So
it was like wrestling for the first period, basically.
Yeah, kind of. And, I think some people online weren't too happy about the no leg locks in the first round. And I understand that. I get it. But my opinion is that they want it to be entertaining and have these matches last.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just
pull guard,
or not
ankle
just pull guard,
lock.
but they'll take people down or allow you to get taken down and then go right to the legs. So whatever. I get it. Ankle locks are a thing. You still have to defend them. But I feel like this grappling show was just that. They wanted to show.
Yeah.
And they wanted to really showcase different styles of grappling and different types of submissions. And I think it was pretty successful. I honestly think from the very first match all the way to the end, very entertaining matches. Great, legendary jiu-jitsu practitioners and black belt high levels, and then the kids, which we were just talking about. We were drilling a little bit. We have our gi pants on because, in the words of our teammate Grant, the gi is back, baby, and you're gonna see a lot more gi from us coming up. So we were drilling some gi. But anyway, that first kids match, you were the 3rd match. So you didn't really get to see a lot of it. But
I was more just because it was like a stadium basically, and I was like pacing around the top.
The top of it. Yeah.
So I'd glance over ever so often and see these kids that were just fighting it out in the cage. It's like the pit.
And they were young. They were probably
Brandon's age.
Yeah, they were probably 7 or 8. It was so funny. Brandon is a big Jey Uso fan, and the first kid to walk out, they have walkouts and
I think it was the
music.
It was either the first or second.
It was the first match.
Yeah.
So, but he used Jey Uso's song, and immediately Brandon stands up and he's like, "He stole my song!" It was hysterical. I wish I had recorded that because it was funny. I was laughing about it, but it was good. It was very entertaining entrance and everything. Entertaining jiu-jitsu. They were diving on these front guillotines, and I'm pretty sure one of the kids got DDT'd, but he got out of it, and everyone in the crowd was like, oh, ah, ooh, ah. Like the first several matches, it was intense, very intense.
Yeah.
And for me, what did you think? I'll tell you, I'll hold my opinion, but what do you think match of the night was?
Match of the night?
Adult and kids.
Adult.
Of all of them.
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
I'd say for kids.
Put them all forget kids or adults. Just like match of the night. Overall.
Because there was one match that really got my eye. And it was these two kids. At like the very beginning, one of them like hit like a flying guillotine, like because he like was like pinned up against the cage. He kind of like walked up it and had like a guillotine. And that whole match, it was just guillotine after guillotine. I feel like that was my match of the night.
Was that the Gracie Baja
kid and
the other kid who didn't have a shirt on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my match of the night.
That was my match of the night too. Because
that one, didn't even get to see that part of it.
No, I missed that first part.
It was crazy.
That one went into a third round.
Yeah.
And like everyone thought maybe it was over in the second round, but they went to the third round.
Yeah.
And
everybody's like, fourth round.
They wanted. I think, a fourth round would have been awesome. If they could have done a fourth and fifth round, I wanted more of that match.
Yeah.
That was intense because they were going
sudden death.
They were trading back and forth, not just guillotines, but like all different submissions and getting out of it, and like just transitioning and between wrestling and jiu-jitsu, going from one submission to another, going from one position to another, going from guard passing to retaining guard, sweeping it. The whole 9 yards, man. It was amazing.
And the funny thing about it is, like, when you're in the match, you get sweaty and stuff. But like at the beginning of the match, like first round, like they weren't like, really that sweaty. But like end of third round, hair was drenched.
They were dripping.
They were like, it looked like they just came out like a pool.
Do you think those lights? So they had lights over on the poles of the
like spotlights.
Yeah, they were like spotlights, and I know it was to light up the cage, but like, were they heated at all?
No.
I mean, when you were in there, did you feel like it was warmer inside the cage than
No?
No.
Not at all.
What did it feel like to go into a cage? I mean, that was your first experience.
So the cage, we were there. We were probably the first ones there.
We weren't the first, but we were pretty darn close to being the first.
Like basically, it's like how the cage is it's wood. Then they have like their mats, and then they have a tarp on top of it.
Yeah, they used, I believe they were 2x12s or 2x10s planks that reached across, and they were cut to fit. And they put them all the way across. Then they rolled out like kind of like a wrestling mat.
Yeah.
And then that also fit. And then they put a tarp over that.
Yeah.
And then they built the cage walls around that.
Yeah.
We were there early enough to watch them build the cage, and it was pretty cool. But what was it like the first? So we got to go into the cage before the event started to do like just walk the cage and see what it was like inside it. Yeah. When you first walked up those stairs to get inside the cage at that point, were you even thinking about like you're going to be fighting in this?
No.
Was there any nerves?
Not really. I was more of just walking in there to see like how the cage was, like the mat wise. It's really, I just thought of it as like a normal tournament. Go get a feel for like the mats, like for like wrestling tournaments and jiu-jitsu tournaments. I always do that, like to see like is it gonna be a hard mat or is it gonna be like a softer mat? Like some wrestling tournaments, it's like rock hard. Like it's like these mats when they're not even like these mats.
Yeah.
Or like they're as hard as these mats, but they're like meant to be softer mats. But I was like that was my thought process walking into it, like to see like is this gonna be hard? Like is this gonna be a hard mat? So try not to get slammed.
Yeah.
Or is
I do feel like it wasn't like, I mean, it's not like a WWE ring or anything like that where it's like more of a trampoline where it bounced, you know? Because there was no bounce, but there was some give. It wasn't like, it's definitely not spring loaded or anything like that. So for those familiar with like, some gyms have, Viana Brothers has this, like a false floor where, actually I don't know if they still have, if they have that or not, but it's like a spring load where the mats go on top of it. And there's a little spring like this, and so it gives a little bit. It's nothing like that, but it's relatable, I would say, to that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're running on like a WWE mat, I feel like.
Yeah, because there's a towel underneath it, so there's an echo. But like, I do feel like when we got in it to before the show, we were able to jump a little bit And it was given a little bit. It definitely wasn't like jumping on these where this is solid, right?
Yeah.
Or it maybe kind of like a wrestling mat where it's warm and it's like mushy.
Yeah.
It was kind of probably more like that.
Yeah.
Right. What'd you think of? Did you test the cage, like the cage walls? Because they look like there's some matches where they got up against the cage.
Where they're
gonna. I was like, wow, are they gonna come through this cage? Because
I didn't lean on the cage at all because, like, again, I was like, I don't want to break it.
Yeah.
Before it starts, then be like, oh, well, then what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like they were pretty good. Again, because
solid.
like people were like, they were getting pinned up against these walls and like not breaking or anything.
There was a small point during your match where your back was up against the cage.
Yeah, but
did you feel it? Were you even like?
So
I'm guessing your adrenaline was pumping so much that you're not paying any attention to that.
I did. So from my point of view, I didn't even realize that I was on the cage.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll give you the rundown of like what I think just happened in my match of like what I remember and like.
And then I'll tell you what really happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right off the bat, he's coming in like with his stance and stuff. So I tie up basically immediately, because I don't want to like just like dive for a takedown or anything. And I was gonna like set up like my shot or something or hit a slide by.
Yeah.
And then he brought his arm up, so I was just gonna try I was gonna hit the slide by, and if it didn't work, then I was gonna try like some kind of like sweep or something like that, like high crash to a sweep, and that was what I was gonna do if the slide by didn't work or duck under. So I hit the slide by, it worked. We went like we were getting close to the cage. My back was turned towards the cage. I do not remember touching the cage once.
Yeah.
I feel like he was more close to the cage, and I was kind of pulling him off of it because I wanted to try to mat return him, but I could not mat return because he was like squatted down, like trying to prevent me from like lifting him up. So then, since I couldn't really lift him up because I wasn't getting like the good angle to like squat down and lift him up, or pick him up, I kind of just like brought him down to the mat, and then I got my hooks in and tried to get like a rear naked choke. And the rule set for ninja grappling is that like you can't crank on the neck, so I can't be like.
They were really protective of that
Yeah.
during the rules meeting. Sorry, couldn't think of what it was.
Yeah.
During the rules meeting, I demoed it on Brandon. I was asking specific questions about that because there are times where kids will tuck their chin. Everybody tucks their chin.
Yeah.
It's a smart defense to do for a rear naked choke.
It's like
and
the basic
a lot of
defense.
times your head will get turned this way. And when I asked about it, I made sure even my hand was under the chin. But a lot of times still, the friction will keep their neck going that way, if that would be considered a neck crank. And they said that they would consider a neck crank. It depends. It depend on the moment. So it was really up to the ref in the cage it was up to his discretion. But because the head was turning, the way I was describing it, they thought could be a crank. So they were erring more on the side of caution and the safety of the grapplers than anything else.
Yeah.
Which, again, for kids...
Makes sense. Understood.
So, an adult, I'd say crank it.
Yeah.
Pull it. Rip it.
Everyone
signed a waiver. Yeah. Everyone signed a waiver.
Yeah,
So.
but I was, trying to get my hand underneath to, get the rear naked choke. I couldn't really do it, again, because he had his chin tucked, and he was kind of like this. And I didn't want to get, like, called out and be like, hey, he's cranking on the neck, like, DQ him or minus a point for him. So then I was like, all right, I'm just going to, like, roll through or something and, like, try to get this. And then eventually, when I was, like, trying to work it, I don't even know how he stood up, but he stood up because I think I was pretty high.
You had a body lock.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I rolled through. I got the body lock in because there's no points, so there's no point of just keeping the hooks in.
When you get your body lock in, do you squeeze, like, through the...
A little bit. I don't like squeeze the crap out of them.
Why not?
I don't want to burn out my legs.
Oh, okay.
And reason why, because later on it plays a part. So basically, I had the body lock in. He worked his way up to stand up, and in the rule set, you're allowed to slam. So basically,
you're only allowed to slam when it's a locked in submission.
Yes. Yeah.
So looking back on that, you didn't really have a locked in submission.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
So, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. Basically, I have his back. He stands up and like kind of just like jumped. I don't even know if he jumped. He more just like laid back. So then I'd come like falling down, you know, like let go of like my lock and stuff. So
yeah, he literally he stood up and then fell like a tree backwards.
Yeah.
Mostly to slam his body weight onto you.
Yeah. And to be honest, it really didn't do that much. Like I didn't feel.
No, you took it.
Yeah, I didn't feel much from it, and then like, I more just like transitioned to the triangle because my legs are in the like configuration because this is like the body lock.
Actually, I don't even know if you realized it, but like watching it back, and from my angle, I have to watch the pay-per-view angle because that may have been the better angle for that slam. But like, you actually opened up before you unlocked your body lock before he started tumbling backwards, and the leg that had the lock was on the ground. So that could have been another reason why the slam didn't necessarily work well for him because like you had already been on your feet.
Yeah.
For like literally a fraction of a second, you weren't even flat-footed. It was like your toes hit, and then you went backwards with it. But because you opened up, and the way that impact was, there was enough kind of a bounce, I'll say, not a big bounce, but enough of a little bounce where you were able to transition right into that triangle.
Yeah. So
and his leg was right there.
Yeah. It's like literally right after like he slammed me, I like locked in the triangle.
Yeah.
So and again, he can slam out of it. So the idea is to grab the leg so he can't stand up because I doubt that he can stand up with one leg. With me on
he definitely was trying to stand up, but he couldn't stand. There's no way he was going to stand straight up.
Yeah.
So he got to his feet, but there's no way. Yeah. And by doing so, it left his arm exposed.
Yeah. So that was bad. So like, I have the triangle and like I was ready to like finish him with it, and then I just see his arm sit. It was literally straight like this, and I was like, all right. So I kind of just like let go of what I'm doing, and I grab his arm and I hip it like.
You hipped into it.
It was a pretty bad arm bar. Like, not bad, like, technique-wise. It was, like, bad, like...
It was tight.
It was tight.
Yeah, and he tapped right away, which rightfully so. I've been in your arm bars, and they come on quick.
Yeah, it was...
It was... Yeah, tapping was definitely the right move.
Yeah.
But, so, that was your match. It wasn't long. It wasn't
short.
It wasn't short. It was definitely entertaining. You did a really well transitioning from one thing to another. So it was good. And it was nice to see that level of jiu-jitsu too, right? Like I said, every match was just unbelievably good. Even like, obviously we said even the kids, but the adults ones were quite entertaining. There was a lot of a guy jumped into a guillotine, it looked like it was like a jumping guard, but he like jumped up, got a guillotine, and then on the way down wrapped his legs around the guy's waist and pulled him down.
Yeah.
So it was definitely in my opinion a jumping guard, but into the guillotine. And during the rules meeting, they had talked about if you're going to do anything flying, like flying arm bars or whatever, it's got to be with intent of submitting. So like if you do a cheap flying arm bar, they're going to consider that a guard pull, and chances are they were going to stand you up. None of that happened. Everything that was like flying, especially in this guillotine situation, I believe he finished the match that way too.
Yeah, I think it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was a fast. Like we were talking about. I think they were giving 2 awards out. One was the fastest submission, was it? Or there's 2 medals at the end that they handed out. One was like best submission, and then it wasn't fight of the night. It was something else.
One was best submission, and then one was like competitor of the night.
Yeah, competitor of the night. So, and both of them I thought was really well deserved. So there was a girls' match that went into the 3rd round. And I was kind of surprised that it went into the 3rd round. Did it need to go in a 3rd round? Yes. Was it entertaining enough to make a 3rd round? Yes. And should it have been a 3rd round? I don't know, because according to the rules that they said, if you're in the guard, they consider
it as a defensive
position, and the more points would be headed to the person on top because they look at them as being more active and more of the aggressor.
Which makes sense.
Which does make sense because guard is it's in the name, right? It's more of a defensive position. But can you attack out of a guard? Absolutely. Can you hit submissions out of it? absolutely. So it's an attacking and a defensive position for sure. But in this scenario, I don't believe that she had a lot of attacks. She was regarding and she was trying to work out of it a little bit, but it was just interesting that I went to the third round, and then I don't think she ended up winning, but it's still entertaining, yeah. And then there was Jeff Surfin's match. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was.
First period was kind of just like. First period they were kind of just like feeling out each other, I feel like, and then like second period, then. Like, it
was like all Jeff at that point.
Yeah, they pulled guard. They went into 50-50 and.
Did he pull guard? Yeah, he did. I don't remember if he pulled or if he got taken down and ended up.
I don't think there wasn't really any takedown.
There was a takedown in the first.
Really?
In the first, yeah. Mineko got a takedown, and they were working through it, but like, still that first round, you're right though. They were filling each other out for quite some time on the feet, and then I think Mineko hit did he get a snatch single? I have to go back and watch it.
It's probably like a snatch single.
Yeah, I think it was a snatch single that he got.
Because I didn't even see the mic.
It was closer towards the end of the round. Yeah. That's the other thing. That's the only other downfall, I would say, is that the adults' rounds were only 4 minutes. I would like to see a 5-minute round for adults, especially
if it's the main card.
Especially the main card should be like 5 minutes and 3 rounds for then.
Yeah.
Because I think, and you could do different rule sets for each one, right? So like, I don't care what everyone's I don't know what everyone's complaining about. I'm not a leg locker, and maybe that's why, but not having leg locks in that first round is awesome. But then I think they should maybe change something in the second round. Maybe say no arm bars. Leg locks are in, but no arm bars. Like that would really mess people up. So maybe not do that. Yeah. But maybe I like the idea of adding to it, right? So maybe you say no leg locks in the first, leg lock, and they're specific. Nothing from the ankle down, right?
Then there was one guy.
So so nothing from the ankle down in the first round. Second round, all legs were in play. So that maybe for a third round, they should be like, all right, now you can twister, you can do spinal,
that'd be
things
great.
like that. I think that'd be awesome. Just keep adding, unlocking. Every
third round, everything is
like every period unlocks a new level of submissions. Like how that would be awesome.
Stall out to the third period.
Yeah, there's some stalling going on in one particular match, but I think I'm not going to try and name call anybody, but there was one match where I felt like the dude was obviously he was a really good wrestler, but I'm not sure he knew any submissions. Maybe he did, maybe he knew one or two, but he definitely was good with his takedowns and got into a guard, and then pretty much the next 2 rounds were that way. They were sitting in guard. He won the match, which again, you play off the rules. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. So, but during the rule meeting, this is going back to what I mentioned earlier. Like during the rule meeting, it was funny because they were talking about leg locks not being allowed in the first period, and they specifically said nothing from the ankle down. And then someone's like, "Well, what about knee bars?" And the ref's like, "That's above the ankle." Calf slicers, also above the ankle, which I thought it was hysterical because it's like
he's like just checking,
from the ankle down, which would be straight ankle locks, heel hooks, toe holds, pretty much those 3. Anything else, knee bar, sure, calf slicer, sure. So again, ankle, calf, ankle below. So I thought that was funny. I think another thing that they could change up maybe for teens is allow straight ankle locks. Some of
interesting.
They'd probably get more teens. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a few teens there, but I feel like Naga allows knee bars and straight ankle locks. So not to say Naga should be the standard for the way jiu-jitsu is, but like ADCC, right?
Yeah.
You can do straight ankle locks in ADCC. I'm not sure if you can do knee bars, but you can do straight ankle locks for sure. If anything, I think it's teens. I think they label it as teens, right? Like, it's not 15 up, because they even have 15
to 26.
Yeah, 15,
like that.
15 to adults. So I say, why not? Like, if you do straight ankle locks, maybe you get more teens, applying for these things.
You never know.
Yeah. So, but again, I don't mind if it's only in the second period. I think it's kind of cool. You just have to remember, hey, this is not legal. Yeah. So even if the guy's giving it to me, don't take it. Although it's easier said than done. If somebody's exposing their leg and you are a leg locker, it's so easy to just dive on it, because it's muscle memory. Yeah. It's muscle memory. You're not thinking about it. Your body just does it.
Oh, it's there.
It's there. Boom. Take it.
Shoot.
So, but good event. It wasn't that bad of a drive to get there. We drove in the night before, ran into a lot of Chicago traffic to get there, but it took about an hour and a half even in the traffic. But the next day, getting there only took about an hour. It was a late night. We didn't get home until a little bit after 1 o'clock in the morning. And we had Brandon with us, so he was a trooper though, man. He was super excited. He was really excited to.
A few moments later, a few inches later, 2 hours later, 1 eternity later.
All right, sorry, we had some technical difficulties. What are you gonna do? So it happens. Anyway, so we were talking about the drive back home. Brandon being a trooper. He stayed awake the whole time. He was, he was pretty good for 8-year-old, almost 9-year-old. So, and he came with us during the weigh-ins the night before. But overall, a lot of fun. It sounds like you are most likely invited back for the next one. It sounds like they're going to try and do an all kids event. Don't know the dates, don't know where, don't know when. And then it sounds like they're also going to do like an all women's event, which is totally cool. I think that would be huge, to be quite honest.
They only had like 2 or 3 girl fights, I think. I think
there was 3. I think you're right. And there was no little girls. There was no kid girls. They were all boys. So
all the little ones.
I would love to. There's so many women in Chicago, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, Wisconsin area, Iowa.
Yeah.
So
they're also more flexible than us.
Yeah, but there's a ton of female grapplers out there that are very talented and could really make a showcase. And I think it's going to be awesome if they can pull it off, or if they do it. So, and speaking of like all the surrounding states that we just rattled off, there were people from, like, your opponent was from Iowa, and it was like not like on the border Iowa, but like deep into the heart of Iowa.
Yeah,
they're pretty far in. So kudos for them for coming across all the way through Illinois, pretty much all the way through Iowa, through Illinois and into Indiana to compete. I think that says a lot. I mean, we need to start doing that, because there's a lot of jiu-jitsu out there, a lot of cool tournaments out there, a lot of cool super fight opportunities out there. That I think it's awesome seeing just the different styles and areas come together to make an event. It was a lot of fun. So, what else?
Not much, really.
No.
I mean, we didn't like stay for like the main event because that was like 12, like when that happened.
Yeah, it was like 12, 15.
We were walking out, and
they were starting.
Yeah, they were starting like the second to last main event, and we're like,
no, we stayed for the surfing was the main event, so we finished that, and then we watched that, and then we're like, okay, we should go and head out, and then so that's what we did. But I did get to see some of the highlights of that match. I wish, in retrospect, I wish we did stay because that was the only match that was in the gi.
Yeah,
and it was Caprito versus Lovato Jr. And it looked cool. Lovato won with an armbar. But it would have been interesting to see gi jiu-jitsu in a cage. I don't know if they had the same rule set with the guard pull takedown. Because there was a few matches
there's more like would the bow and arrow be considered a neck crank? Or?
No, that would not be a neck crank. No. That's definitely a choke. But like, I would say I'm more curious on like guard pulling the takedown. Yeah. You know, because.
The fake guard pull.
Yeah, I mean, well, that would have been a takedown. But yeah, and I don't know, because there was a couple matches that had like special rule sets. Like Mark Vivas had a match where it was 1 round. I think it was like a 7 or 8 minute match in a no gi match, and then obviously the gi match. I think that had some special. I don't know if they did more than 1 round or not. I'm not even sure that it made it out of the first round, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think not a lot of matches, but quite a few. There was a lot. There was 21 matches in
20-something matches, something like that.
Yeah, I think there was 21 matches total. And which made for a long night. Again, hence why we got home at 1-something in the morning. Yeah. It was supposed to start at 7, but it started late because
it was like such a long line.
They had such a long line getting in, and they only had one path to entry and to hand over tickets, and they were doing QR codes. They were scanning the QR codes, which, again, that's typical. You go to the Fight to Win only had one person taking tickets. You go to like Grappling Industries or Grappling Games Pro, there's only one person taking tickets. When Tap Cancer Out did their showcase fights, there was only one line for tickets. Yeah. You go to all these tournaments, it's only one line for tickets. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu is the same, right? You know, coaches go one way, and then coaches and athletes go one way, and then spectators go another. For wrestling, so in jiu-jitsu, everyone goes through that same line. So they got it done. It's not like they started 2 hours late. It was literally like maybe 30 minutes late. Yeah, if that. It just seemed like long time because everyone was like amped up and ready to go. You know, they wanted all the fighters there. So because it was a sanctioned fight, there was a nurse there, and everybody had to get like they called it a physical, but it wasn't a physical. But they had everyone to get checked. Like their blood pressure had to get checked. They had to make sure that, you know, they had good responses and reflexes and stuff like that. Just like a checkup. Yeah, it's just a checkup to make sure that you're healthy enough to get into a cage and not like pass out, you know, when you weren't being choked. Obviously, if you're being choked, you can get passed out. I didn't see anyone go out either.
No, but there was people who were on the ground, but it was more of just like in denial of them losing.
Yeah, you think, okay. I didn't see anyone
I saw a few of those.
I didn't see anyone get hurt with like.
No, nobody got. I don't think I saw anybody.
Nothing. No bones broken. No one got passed out. No one had to get like. Yeah, no blood. So, there's that. That's always a good thing. I think. Yeah. So, like I said, overall, it was a good event. I appreciated the rule set, even though it's different. So. Which we don't have a standard in jiu-jitsu of rules, right? Yeah. So it's kind of crazy like that. Depending on the tournament is depending on the rule set. Some go with IBJJF, some go with ADCC, some mix and match. You know, you find what works and what doesn't, and that's why we always say read the rules. Whenever you're competing, read and figure out the rules. So
Or your Naga, and you have 2-point takedown.
Well, Naga's a whole different
Yeah.
confusion because they have a different rule set between gi and then a different rule set for no gi. So,
It's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. But along the lines with those, but that's with points. The bigger thing is like when you're doing like these super fights or sub only, figure out what is real subs and what's not, right? And show up to the rules meetings, and ask questions. Even the dumbest question could be asked, but like you're probably not the only one thinking that question.
Yeah.
That's why the guy is asking about like, oh, is knee bar okay? Yes, it's above the ankle. It sounds funny because
it
it
seems
is,
like
but
a no-brainer.
right? But I'm sure other people were thinking the same thing. Like, can I knee bar?
Somebody.
Well, it's above the ankle, so yeah. So, but yeah, overall, good time. It was a fun weekend. So now it's going to be on to the next one and whatever that may be. I know Fuji is next weekend.
Fuji is. I thought it's this weekend.
Well, we're still on the weekend, so I'm considering it next weekend. It's
suppose.
Saturday. We'll just say it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we're going to look at Subspectrum. Brandon's excited about that one because he gets to go to... That one's in Iowa, so...
Maybe see my opponent again.
Yeah, maybe. Good. I don't know. I still haven't signed you guys up yet, so I got to do that. And then after that is July and Kids Pans, right?
Yeah.
You want to do that one. So hence why we're, again, in the gi. So, cool. Should we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Overall experience of ninja grappling?
I think it was cool.
Fun?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool experience.
Yeah.
Love being in the cage.
Yeah. Want to learn striking and do MMA?
Yeah. And then I'll challenge
Victor?
Victor or Gary.
You going to call him out?
I'm coming for you.
You look funny. I couldn't take that face serious.
I'm taking you out. One way or another. You and me.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. Want to wrap this? Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You done?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
End it? How do we end it?
I don't know.
We're going to go through this every time. You can wrap it up. I'm just going to chill.
How are we meant to wrap it up? The end.